You made him do this, Mom said, handing me the ice pack. She had the ice pack ready to go. It was the same song and dance. I press the pack to my jaw and wait for Mom to ask me if I'm okay, or to hug me and say things will be different this time. She doesn't do any of that. Instead, she watches the front windows as Dad's truck squeals out of the driveway and disappears from view. Then she shakes her head and turns back to me. You shouldn't have given him the report card yet, she says in a trembling voice. You know how strict he is and how he gets about grades. I stare at her in shock. A B+ in AP English, 1 B+ and 5 A's, and it caused Dad to go off the rails. I want to scream at Mom for not protecting me, for telling me it was my fault, for always choosing Dad's side after everything he's done. But I say nothing, jaw clenched, as I press the ice pack harder against my cheek. Mom reaches into the junk drawer and pulls out her expensive concealer, the kind she hides just for occasions like this. This isn't our first rodeo. She hands me the concealer. Aunt Rose is coming for dinner on Saturday, she says calmly. She points at my face. That needs to be gone by then. She doesn't care if I'm healed. She just wants the bruise to be hidden well enough that no one asks questions. I force a smile and nod in agreement. This isn't the first time she's done this, and it won't be the last. We almost get away with it. I ice the bruise for 4 days straight. It goes from black to a purplish green color. When Saturday comes, I make sure to cover the bruise with concealer. I cake my face with it, and in normal light, it's barely recognizable. I nod to myself, sure I'm going to get away with it. Aunt Rose arrives and gives me a hug. She doesn't look too long at my face, allowing me to relax and breathe easier. Dinner goes by smoothly. Wine is passed around to the adults. The pot roast smells amazing. The biscuits are the perfect buttery blend. Dad makes everyone laugh with a story from work. Mom is smiling a little too widely. My little brother James relaxes into his chair, and I smile at my family. Then everyone freezes when James accidentally knocks over his water glass. Silence falls and tension rises. It's not the good kind of tension, but the kind that has you holding your breath, waiting for something to explode. That something is our father. His jaw ticks as his teeth clench together. Clean it up, he says in a low tone. James's hands start shaking as he tries to mop up the water that spilled over the edge of the table. His shaking causes the spill to get worse. My breath catches in my throat as I watch Dad get angrier and angrier. He isn't even trying to hide his emotions from Aunt Rose anymore. Clean it up, he yells again. James ducks his head as tears begin to fall. I'm trying, he whimpers. Dad pushes his chair back, the noise grating on my ears. I immediately leap to my feet in an effort to help my brother. I'll get napkins, I shout loudly. Aunt Rose glances between all of us before her eyes land on my face. Her eyes narrow. What happened to your face? She demands sharply. My heart drops and my hands start shaking with nerves as I glance at Dad and sit back down. He sits and grabs my knee, squeezing it hard in warning. Something in me snaps when I feel his touch on my knee. I shift away from his hand and glance at Aunt Rose, lifting my chin in defiance. Dad hit me, I announce. Chaos erupts. Mom starts crying immediately. Dad starts yelling about how I'm confused. James hides under the table, hands clamped around his ears as tears fall down his cheeks. Aunt Rose slowly stands, a mask of calm on her face. She pulls out her phone and starts dialing. Dad leaps to his feet. Put that phone away, he growls. Aunt Rose ignores him, so he rounds the table and leaps for her. She dodges his grasp and immediately starts talking to someone on the phone. I'm assuming it's a 911 operator. Dad rushes at her and I stick my foot out, tripping him. He crashes into the table and hits the floor, groaning in pain. He doesn't get up again until he hears the sirens. Fear flashes across his face. He glances at Mom. Tell them nothing, he hisses. Determination suddenly crosses her face and she shakes her head. You messed up, she snaps. And I realize for the first time, Mom is choosing us, not him. The cops drag Dad out of the house and Mom sends James and I to live with Aunt Rose while she deals with the fallout from Dad's arrest. My brother and I no longer have to live in fear of Dad's anger.